Black History Month honors the influence of African Americans on our nation's history. It grew out of the vision of historian Carter G. Woodson to counter the notion that African Americans played an insignificant role in American history. February was selected to honor the legacies of President Abraham Lincoln, who helped to abolish slavery, and Frederick Douglass, an African American social reformer. In celebration of the United States bicentennial in 1976, President Gerald Ford honored the accomplishments of African Americans by recognizing Black History Month as an official observance in the United States. Watch now as several employees share their personal stories of being African American at Mayo Clinic.
Being an African American woman, and not just an African American woman, but being the first one in my family to graduate from college, have the opportunity to go to college, it inspired me and motivated me to do better, because I felt like I was carrying the weight of others on my shoulders. I wanted them to see, I wanted kids in my neighborhood to see, I wanted my friends to see, people that grew up under, my same circumstances to see and to realize you can have better and you can achieve better. And you don't have to let your race or your gender stop you from accomplishing any of your goals.
I grew up in a small town in Roxborough, North Carolina, very much like Rochester in terms of being a very small, very tight-knit, very homogeneous environment. Small tobacco town, just about maybe 45 minutes or so west of the Raleigh-Durham Research Triangle area. And my mom and my brother and I were the first African Americans to integrate the school system. My mom was the first African American teacher, and so that was certainly a distinction, but provided quite a rich experience for us growing up and helping us along the path to move out into the world.
Throughout the early part of the 20th century, African American families looking for, frankly, relief from the circumstances of life for African Americans in the American South, looking for not just economic opportunities, but also looking for a way out of the deprivation that was common.
When I was in college, several of my professors and advisors actually tried to encourage me to go to medical school. But at that time, my image of a physician was an older or middle-aged white man, and I had never ever heard of a black physician, much less a black female physician.
So when the opportunity arose to take what I knew in the technology arena and apply it to solutions here at Mayo, it was not just an opportunity, a professional opportunity, it was also an opportunity to bring me and my family a little bit closer to my family.
My role and responsibility that I hold here at Mayo Clinic is very inspiring. My father was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds to play professional baseball, and the very next day he was drafted by the United States Army. And he never got to fulfill the dream of playing a professional baseball sport. And that taught me never to give up, never to quit.
Just knowing that someone was there encouraging me, showing me the ropes, and telling me that I could do it was of great value as I went on in my career.
I give my mom a lot of credit for that. She even sacrificed her own education and dreams to make sure that her children were taken care of. There were times where it got difficult and I felt like I wanted to give up, and you have that. I think everyone goes through those periods in their life. But just being able to take a step back and to reflect and just hearing, you can do this, you can make it. It was very inspiring all the way through.
I have
have been very fortunate to work with many different community members to understand the health needs of our community as a whole, especially the health needs of those that are disproportionately affected by various chronic diseases.
One of the wonderful things about Mayo Clinic is that there are opportunities to have many different types of careers at Mayo and under one roof, if you will, one organization. Our experience is that we have not only at Mayo but out in the community, being the face of Mayo and having members of our community really see the faces behind the Mayo Clinic. I think that's in itself very inspirational and certainly gives us an opportunity to excel on multiple levels.
I believe that this can be an inspiration to the next generation because the next generation should know that they should use their skills, talents, and abilities to be able to positively impact members of our community.
I'm grateful for what my ancestors endured because it's going to enable my children to thrive, and that's exactly the experience that I think all of us wish for ourselves and our families.
It's important that one of the legacies that I'd like to leave my learners with is the fact that, you know, we are going to face challenges around diversity and inclusion, but it's being willing to talk about those is what changes the cultural landscape of the communities in which we serve.
Although it may have seemed difficult or impossible to work for a world-class organization like the Mayo Clinic, today my dreams have come true. It has not always been easy, but I believe that if given a chance, anyone can make the very best of their dreams. And today I'm glad to say that Mayo Clinic gave me a chance, and I made the most of it.
Being mindful of the recruitment efforts and making sure that we have a diverse work pool to develop leaders from is essential. And then once you see strong talent and potential, I think taking the extra effort to invest in those individuals so that they realize there may be opportunities, that they know that leadership has taken a genuine interest in them, and that someone sees the talents that they have and that there's a possibility they can continue to grow in different leadership roles.
And for women, I really want us to remember that there are so many opportunities out there for us, and that we have to just go ahead and try and be there for each other in order to motivate each other to be successful.
I remember very vividly listening to the Saturday sermons, sermons of Dr. Martin Luther King that would come through the radio, and being sort of inculcated with this notion that it's very, very important for each of us to fully take part in the not just the American dream, but also making our society a better place in which to live.